Hello everyone. Today I would like to introduce to you a new very exciting capability from vRAC Cloud and Cloud Assembly known as the Cloud Guardrails. I cannot emphasize this enough, but this is in tech preview, which essentially means that the foundation of the functionality is there, but there might be some missing capabilities and some bugs, so feedback is welcome. But also be assured that any upcoming releases of vRAC Cloud is going to be continuously enhancing this capability. But today I will walk you through a use case, and that use case is going to be the AWS Landing Zone. And if you're not familiar with that concept, essentially a landing zone helps my customers to quickly and securely create multi-cloud AWS environments based on AWS best practice, essentially what I'm showing here on the screen. I'm going to be able to create organization units, policies, member accounts, and be able to attach those policies and those member accounts. What I have here as beginning is just one single root account, a single organization unit. Intentionally, I want to do that because I want to see how Gario respect that state. I got the policies enabled, but I don't have any SCP policies other than the default one. So if I want to create a new AWS Land Zone, how Gario can help me with? Well, luckily, Gario provides me an out-of-the-box library of templates, and these templates will help me to easily and fast create a new functionality, like in this case, the landing zone. So I find my AWS landing zone use case great, so I can select it. This is kind of my shopping list. So I'm going to make the association to the project and then import it. But it's not just one single template. I can select many templates I may need, and you can see they are organized in many different capabilities. So let's say that besides the landing zone, let's create also an admin role that can be trusted from that landing zone. So I'm going to add it as well, and I'm going to ingest it to the same project. I'm not going to do it again. I did it before, so the template is already there in my environment. But I want to show you what is inside those templates. Again, it's associated to my project. And Gario is smart enough to read the template and say, yes, in the template, I see all these use resources and operations that needs to happen. Like, as I mentioned before, an organization rule needs to be created or needs to exist. I want to have the policies enabled, and I'm going to create multiple units, actually nested organization units. I'm going to create multiple policies. I'm going to create and attach those policies to a member account, right? In this case, for simplicity, I'm just going to have one single member account. If you look at all these templates, you are not familiar with them. These are item-based templates, and this is actually that template that we were looking at, right? This is a template that Gario just processed, and if you look closely, you can start recognizing that, yes, all those units that Gario was showing me very easily to consume are actually taken from the template from multiple resources. But what I want to emphasize here is something really cool, that even though these templates are standardized for AWS, for Azure, for any technology that Gario can support, is based on their APIs, right? So if we are looking to what AWS, especially for the organization, in terms of APIs, what is needed to create an organization unit, you can see right here that it's a very simple way, it's a very simple API call. And those are exactly the parameters that I need to provide. So whether I'm using Azure, AWS, transmission control, secure state, whatever Gario supports, the way I'm going to define this template, because I can create my own, is this simple, right? I just need to map those properties to the existing APIs, and I'm ready to go. And I then is smart enough to tell, this is the resource I want, it needs to exist, and even if that resource exists, like in my case, I got the root organization already there and the policies already enabled. Gario, taking advantage of the item templates, will know and say, oh, you already have this, then I don't really need to recreate it. I need your desired state, I need your intention, so I'm good. But everything else that is missing or is not aligned to the properties that I'm defining here, we will recreate it, we will reset in a way that it meets this state, right? And there is some information in part of the template that you will see later on. This meta information is super handful because I can even define information to my consumer to make it simple to consume, and you will see it in a minute. So once again, back into Gario. So what happens next? I'm going to create a desired state, and a desired state is nothing but essentially my template plus a specific input to create, in this case, a landing zone. So I'm going to select the cloud account. This is at the moment an infrastructure cloud account, so I can tell Gabriels, I want you to do this in this environment. So great, so I created the start state. You can see that now we are actually in the start state view, which essentially shows the template, but there is something new in here, the input parameters. And if you look closely, you can see that the input parameters is something that is coming from the template as well, including this additional information can be crafted in the template, so I can make it simple to consume. I can provide some hints to my consumer to know what kind of fields are needed, which ones are mandatory, the type of fields and things like that. Some of them don't require input, some of them they do. And you can see that by default there is a validation happening by Guardrails, and you can tell right here that this is one of the resources, the member account, that is not ready to go. And in fact, Guardrails is telling me this is not right. And if I run the validation manually, you will see that it says, yes, this is missing. You need some input, a mandatory input, with the right format that needs to be populated in here. So let's do that. Let's add an account name. This is any name. As part of any member account, you need to provide a default role. So I'm going to give it a common default role, an access role. And I'm going to give it a unique email. This is important. AWS member accounts need a unique email account. So with that, now I can go ahead and validate once again, right? I got all the parameters I need. I'm going to leave the default one, like the organization unit R&D. So I validate, now I'm good. Gabriels acknowledge that this is good, so I can save it. And from this moment on, I want to enforce it. So I'm going to run this desired state. So basically what's happening right now is Gabriel looking into my intention, into my desired state, going into AWS and making sure that that exists, that that's enforced. And you can see that he just finished. He completed successfully. I can come back, I can change this input and reinforce it with new input. In the enforcement section, I'm going to have access to detailed information. I can rerun it again if I want to. And there is a lot more functionality that is going to be embedded in here. But for now, let's go to the AWS GUI. So if we refresh this GUI, you can now see that now I have I respected the root organization, and I created my own organization units. Not only that, the policies were enabled already, so I didn't have to do anything else. It remains enabled, but the policies that were missing are now in there. Furthermore, if I look into the attachment, you can see that as part of my attachment that I did in my input, you can see that I got those policies attached in the right organization. And those organizations are going to cascade down all those policies all the way down to my member account. So you can see that by default, for this member account, I got all these policies created, but attached also to my member account. So that's great. And we also said that we need to create an admin role. So I'm going to use that newly created member account. I just took the ID, and I'm going to reproduce an admin role, and all I need to do is do exactly what I just showed you. It's a simpler template, it's a simple set of resources. That's fine. The mechanics are always the same. Again, right now I'm doing AWS, but doing something in Azure, Google Cloud, or in Tansu Mission Control, Secure State, or any other endpoint that Gario will support in the future is going to follow the same mechanics. So right now I'm going to say, yeah, create this new admin account in a different environment. It's going to be a trusted one. So that's what this admin role is all about. This template is all about. And just as before, I just created my desired state. I can validate. Gabriel is going to tell me, sure, you have missing data. So let's fix that. So I'm going to give it an admin role name, but I'm going to use the actual account ID that we just created from the previous landing zone, right? So I can start reusing that information. So now you can see that it gets validated, and at any point I can change it and validate again, right? So now if I do that manually, it's telling me that it's good, so I'm going to save it, and just as before, I'm just going to enforce it. So I'm going to run the desired state, and you can see that again, Gabriel went all the way to AWS and say, yeah, this is missing, I'm going to enforce it to you, and again, at any point I can rerun this, at any point is going to be fixed. In fact, let's check it out. Let's see if this admin role was indeed created. So if we look into the roles in this GUI, you will find that yes, now this account This admin role is being created and associated to my Landing Zone member account, actually built as a trusted relationship, right? So this is done by Guardrails for me. So what happens if somebody by mistake or intentionally removes this role, right? So I can do it many different ways. In this case, I'm going to do it through the GUI. So I'm going to delete it. And now they have a configuration drift, right? Guardrails, through the enforcements, will fix that for me. It's going to react to those events, so I can have these events scheduled, or like I'm doing it right now, I'm going to run it manually. So it's going to recreate it for me, right? And I can run as many times as needed, and it's going to enforce that resource. So if I refresh this, I'm going to have this role once again created. Exactly the same data is going to be there, or enforced by Cloud Guardrails. And this is going to be driven by events, schedule, or like I did in this case, manually. So I hope you enjoy. Check out Cloud Guardrails. Thank you.